Good afternoon and good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and coffee stream number 167. And it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. That means it's time for another Wednesdays with Skep. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm not dead yet. It's hump day.
You're not ready for the cart?
No, I'm not ready for the cart. Bring out your Skep. No, I'm not. It's been a good week. We've had a lot of hard weather down here in
Yeah.
Texas, and I mean a lot of thunderstorms, tornadoes, that sort of thing. Thank God we haven't had tornadoes in my county so far, but we've had some pretty wretched thunderstorms, the kind of winds that tear things up. And that means that what that really means for the Skeptalk household is that with the four grandchildren, soccer games get postponed, and so now that the weather's turning decent, there's makeup games.
Yep.
And so now there's twice as much going out to the soccer fields and twice as much varying of irresponsible little brats who can't remember their all their equipment. They can't even be responsible for bringing all their own equipment themselves. I forgot my, but and so it's just endless crap.
Now,
Anyway,
are you the pushover guy who goes, okay, we'll go back and get it, or are you the guy who goes,
no,
well,
no, no,
tough
no,
shit
no.
for you?
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna play without shin guards. Next time maybe you'll remember them. When you have bleeding shins and a broken leg. I wouldn't let my coach know it. Actually, what I do is I find something like a magazine or
Yeah.
a flyer and fashion, because that's what I used to play with when I played in Belgium when I was a little kid.
Right.
Those were our shin guards. Where we used to take newspapers
Okay.
and just put those under our socks, and voila, the shin guards. Because we didn't have money for I mean, shin guards that was a luxury. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had newspaper shin guards, and one of my granddaughters got to play with shin guards, and she was absolutely mortified. And after the game, she very, very quietly, with her back turned to her entire team, went over to the garbage can and slipped those things out and in the most stealthy way possible threw those shin guards away. That was so funny. She was so ashamed of those.
Isn't it great when kids do stuff like that and they think you're not looking at them?
Yeah, exactly. Half the team was watching her. So anyway, it's but they learned, and it's one of those things, and she'll learn. She's actually a pretty good kid.
Yeah.
All of those kids are pretty good, and she was one. Man, she was actually the one who was the most at risk, I think. The one who was headed for, life of drugs and,
Yeah.
real problems. She was in 20 homes last year
Oof.
or year before last, I guess.
Is this the one that you're teaching the guitar and stuff like that too?
Yes, she's the guitar student. Yes, she's the guitar
Okay.
student. And although she has discovered, interestingly enough, she has discovered science. She's
Ooh.
fascinated by science, and it's actually cooled her ardor in music a little bit. But this is the point where you let them just kind of experiment around and see what they really like to do, and we'll see what she ends up with. She at least can competently play a few chords on the guitar and strum her way through some songs.
Well,
And
science
she'll always
isn't a
have that.
bad interest either.
No,
So.
science is good interest. And so we, in fact, funny thing about that, this coming weekend, I told them that I showed them there's a very impressive reaction. It's called a redox reaction that you can do with copper tubing and silver nitrate. Basically, what you're doing is, here's the thing about metals. Metals are metals because they like to hand off their electrons. Metals are very giving elements. They like to give up their electrons, and copper really likes to give up its electrons, and so it will hand off its 2+ electrons very easily. And so when you combine it with a nitrate of silver, what happens is the nitrate salt gets passed over from the silver to the copper, and and you get freestanding silver as a result. But in the course of doing that, you get these beautiful crystals that instantly form on copper tubing. So, and the way you do the reaction is you have this copper tubing in like a clear, large, half-gallon beaker, and then you fill it with like $60 worth of silver nitrate that you're just going to throw away,
Right.
because grandchildren.
Yeah.
And you've got four adults taping the thing on their phones,
Of course.
and but it makes these beautiful crystals, and then the crystals instantly disappear, because what happens is you get a nitrite of I think it's copper nitrite that comes back, or maybe it's the silver nitrate. I can't remember. I'd have to run the numbers and figure out what the final compound that occurs. But it's a very impressive reaction, and it's a good way to interest kids in chemistry, because you really get to see what happens when electrons pass from one element to another, and you get the proof of electrons being held more strongly in one shell than in another shell. So silver's need for those electrons is greater than copper's need for those electrons, if you want to think of it that way. And so the attraction is greater for the silver, and the silver fills its electron shells, and copper's all too happy to give up its two weakly held electrons. And anyway, it's an interesting thing. So that's sort of on the schedule this weekend. If we get a nice weekend and we can do it outside, that's another thing. You got to do it outside.
Do it outside, yeah.
You do all the stuff outside.
Do that stuff outside.
Yeah, exactly. Usually the stuff that I do, because one of two things happens with the kinds of things that I like to show kids in chemistry reactions. There's usually a release of electricity or chlorine gas, and both things are dangerous. So you want to keep the kids away from that sort of thing. And
we've got quite a bit of chat trickling in.
What's going on with chat?
We've got Irate here.
Irate, brother.
We've got Sora Luna and Moonshock and Seamus and Green Badger Outdoors and Green Thunder and Calvic AD.
It's a very green chat.
It is a very green chat.
Yeah. All right. Guys, welcome to chat. Welcome to Wednesday.
Science with Skep, says Moonshock. Yes.
Exactly. I tell you what, you can learn a lot of useless science here. You can next week we'll cover the how to make home explosives. Actually, we won't, but it's amazingly easy. It's you can go on the internet, you can find that one out yourself, but that one you definitely want to do outside.
Yes.
That one you definitely want to do.
As my uncle found out.
Oh, did he do the one with the chlorine?
He did. No, when he was a teenager, he did napalm.
Oh, napalm. Oh, that's right. Wait, we talked about that.
Yeah, he did napalm in the house.
Yeah.
And left it under his bed.
Yes. Making napalm.
As you do.
Yeah, right. It's incendiary device under the bed, Left it under the bed, didn't you? Sure, of course you did, just like the Boy Scout manual says.
And my grenades are in the closet.
Right, exactly.
And my my M80s are in my sock drawer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ready for church? Don't forget the grenades. Yeah. So, there is an explosive that you can make that is everybody's first contact explosive, and it makes a very, very unstable and very powerful exothermic reaction. And it's called trinitrating halogens, basically attaching 3 nitrogens to a fluorine or a chlorine.
Mm.
And what happens is that those when those bonds break, uh, uh, the the energy released by those bonds breaking basically is immense, and you and the mechanism whereby that happens is you make a precipitate. You basically combine 2 chemical, or actually 3 chemicals that you can find in your cleaning closet. And you release a bunch of chlorine gas in the course of doing this. So if you don't poison yourself, you get this
Oh,
precipitate that looks like Tide detergent. And or in the case of one, if you do it with bromine, it'll look like brown Tide detergent. Like,
weird.
yeah, it's strange stuff, and it's fine. It's absolutely stable as long as it's wet. It's when it gets dry that it becomes unstable. And when I say unstable, I mean it's unstable like dynamite is unstable. The stuff has explosive potential on the order of TNT, of trinitrated toluene. And it will blow your hand off, and it happens. It is probably responsible for a lot of the home explosive hospitalizations that happen. People
Well
blowing their
then.
hands off. So anyway, want to be careful with that stuff. And I don't know why I got off into that, but chemistry has always fascinated me. That's why I took a minor in it in college. Even when I realized that my pre-med was doomed and I didn't really want to be a doctor, I stayed fascinated with chemistry and kept taking chemistry courses. And people would ask me, "You're majoring in anthropology. Why do you continue to go to chemistry labs on Saturday morning?"
Mm.
And because it's fun. Because I think it's fun. And they would just shake their heads. And what can I tell you?
Why can't you want to watch cartoons like a normal child?
Exactly. We're getting drunk at the fraternity house. Well, I'm going to be synthesizing toluene. So, bye. That's what I did.
So, do you want an update on the Philippine-Canada garbage situation?
I was talking with the wife about it last night. How about the Philippine Canada garbage fight? All right, what's going on? Have they come to a conclusion about it? Did they sign a garbage treaty?
No, it doesn't sound like it.
Or have they declared war?
So this one says Duterte moved to forcibly send garbage back to Canada.
Oh my
is
God.
the headline.
He did it.
He's going to forcibly send the garbage back. So
shove it down those Canucks' throats.
So let's see. Manila, Philippines. Environment Minister Catherine McKenna says the Canadian trash that has been rotting in the Philippines for nearly 6 years will be back on Canadian soil before the end of June. McKenna says the government has awarded a contract to the shipping company. What is it? Baller Logistics Canada that will return 69 containers. What about the other 40 or 31? Because there was 103 containers.
Maybe they decided to process some of them.
Maybe. So they will return 69 containers contained with household waste and electronic garbage. The containers are what is left of 103 containers. Oh, okay. Shipped by a private Canadian company to the Philippines in 2013 and 2014 and labeled improperly as plastics or recycling. The other 34 containers were already disposed of in the Philippines despite objections from local officials and environmental groups. Okay, so they processed, like you said, the 34 other containers. Okay. McKenna says the waste must be safely treated to meet Canadian safety and health requirements before it can be shipped back, but she anticipates all the containers will be returned to Canada by the end of June. Oh, so you want them to make sure that the containers meet safety and health concerns for us, but you
But
didn't
you
seem
did.
to give a shit about that when you
Right.
sent them to the Philippines.
Well, the Philippines, they're animals anyway, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who the hell cares about the Philippines? Canada is a little bit proud of itself there, aren't they?
They sound like it.
My God. Dude, have a little consideration for somebody who's not you.
Yeah.
I'm appalled at that attitude. That's disgusting.
That is really kind of gross, actually.
Yeah. I mean, okay, we're going to send you all this waste that we promised would be in a certain condition that is not in that condition, and you're supposed to just deal with it. You get mad, you're going to send it back to us because we broke the contract. But we demand that you make it safe for us to send back when we sent it to you in that condition in the first place.
Yep.
What?
Oh, and then get this next line in the article. The containers will be disposed of properly within Canada before the end of the summer, she said.
I'm understanding this less and less by the second. Somebody explain to me what's going on here.
I if I could, I totally would, my friend, cuz this
is crazy town.
this
The
is
only thing I can think of is it's something like this. The Philippines could do it less expensively than Canada.
yeah.
And now it's a big brouhaha, and Canada's saying, fine, we'll just frickin' take care of it at this higher expense.
Yeah.
And we're going to reconsider our relationship with the Philippines. And the Philippines is like, fine, we don't like doing business with you either. And they're both going to walk away hating on each other about this. That's all I can think of that's happening, is that Canada always had the ability to do this. It just could do it cheaper by shipping it to the Philippines. That's why it made sense.
Yeah.
The thing that bothers me, that I just can't get past, is when you ship something over the ocean, there's a risk that it's going to end up in the ocean. Okay?
Mm.
Container ships, more often than you know, marine insurance is a thing. My
Yeah.
wife deals in this all the time. She ships cars to Africa. That's all she does all day
Okay.
long. She is exports cars to Africa, and so she has to. And some of them are roll on, roll off, and some go inside containers.
Okay.
She has to insure these cars using something called marine insurance. Marine insurance is the insurance that happens when there's a container, a load shift on board one of these giant container vessels, and sometimes a few containers. And this happens more often than you can know. These things are really, really loaded to the top.
Mm.
And they a couple of containers with cars in them simply go to the bottom of the ocean.
Holy shit.
Oh yeah, they do. And let me tell you, that's the best day of those owners' lives if they have marine insurance. The marine insurance pays them like 1.5 or 2 times what the value of the car is worth, basically.
Oh, wow.
On account of the trouble that they have to go through to replace it and all that stuff. So it's like hitting the lotto. You want that to happen. And but you pay a handsome amount for it. So it's like this lotto game that you want the disaster to happen to you. And and it's interesting. The more expensive the car, the less you want it to happen. It's the guys with the Lamborghinis who don't want that to happen because they don't really care that much about the money. It's the car that they don't want anything to have happen. And she has shipped Lamborghinis uh, over, although those are mostly roll on, roll off.
Mm. Gonzalez says one of the shipping companies I used to use lost 3 containers off the side of a ship and refused to tell me what happened to the containers. It took me like 6 months to find out.
Yeah, there's I know that she has there's Privacy Act things that she has to adhere to as far as disposition, when stuff like that happens. But she doesn't. She tends not to get involved with that. It tends to be the insurance companies that take over when stuff like that happens. But yeah, marine insurance is a thing. It really does. Those containers shift; they go into the water. There's a tremendous amount of merchandise in the bottom of the ocean.
Makes sense.
So yeah, so I don't like the idea of shipping garbage over the ocean. I think you should. I'm sort of in favor of if you have garbage locally, you should try make your best efforts to recycle it and take care of it locally.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as that's concerned. And even if it costs you an extra dollar or two, as opposed to taking advantage of slave labor in places like the Philippines, and getting to indulge, indulge your cost cutting, via that
Not
third
to
world
mention,
nations.
speaking of the slave labor from the Philippines, in
Yeah,
Canada, we have a huge culture with our, more well-to-do um, people
yes,
who hire Filipino nannies,
of course,
like live-in
they're
uh,
awesome.
nannies,
They're
but they're
awesome,
basically indentured servants.
right? And they're
Um,
totally cool with it, aren't they?
yeah. Well, they feel like they don't have much of a choice at the like,
Exactly, because they don't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I knew a family who fired their nanny because she went home to see her children on Christmas.
Good God, selfish bitch.
Yeah.
I would have killed her. I would
Yeah.
have beaten her.
She dared to go home to the Philippines to see her own children for
No,
Christmas.
no, that that merits a beating,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
then fire her.
Yes, beating first, then firing.
Yeah, that's really for her own good. Jesus, people are. Um, I've seen people mistreat Filipinos. I was in the Navy. Pincalo can probably vouch for this too. Filipinos get mistreated in the Navy um, badly, and uh, I, I've seen officers mistreat whole departments because they were mostly Filipinos, particularly supply departments, which tend to be about 2/3 Filipinos, non-resident aliens.
Mm.
Uh, just absolutely viciously, to the point where this was my department head. This was after I was off after my tour of duty was over. This was the first deployment after I left the Kansas City. This asshole, decided that the Filipinos were liberty risks and desertion risks. And these guys had not seen their relatives in the Philippines in 3 years.
Mm.
So they pull in, put in at the piers, and he would not let them off the ship, and he would not let the families come on the ship to visit their loved ones.
Oh,
So they could see them from the rail down on the piers, but they couldn't touch them, they couldn't hug them.
oh.
The children couldn't hug their fathers. It was really an ugly thing. It was a terrible, terrible thing. But he said, I'm going to lose too many of them. That I'm going to have desertions, and I'm afraid that I won't be able to run my department. He literally kept them aboard ship for the 2 weeks that they were in the Philippines before they went on to where'd they go, to Australia. And they put it into Australia, and he let them have liberty at Australia.
Mm.
And he took liberty also. He also stayed aboard the ship during the 2 weeks in the Philippines. He did not leave the ship either. I don't think he dared. And but he left the ship in the Philippines when he let the his department have liberty. Also, he got liberty. He let himself have liberty too. They found him in an alley.
Of course they did. Oh my God, the Philippines are gonna shoulder the cost of the garbage
Do you
ship.
want to know what happened to him?
Yeah, I do. But what happened to him? Was he sucking off a dude?
No. They found his body in
Oh,
an alley, broken. He was dying. They managed to save him, and but he had basically been, mugged,
so
and had his legs broken in several places. I mean,
was
and
this a
broken on
revenge
purpose.
thing?
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. And lots of little superficial cuts. Uh, his face was disfigured with a knife.
God
He
damn.
was really, really done up. They did him up a trick.
Did he like end up surviving
He
or
did. He did. They
okay.
shipped him back to the United States, the Navy Regional Medical Center, Oakland.
Okay.
And he was one of the meanest guys I've ever known in my life. He was
Mm.
just an absolute prick, resolute prick. And there was nobody who shed a tear when this happened to this
No,
guy.
nobody felt badly for him.
Truly did not. Truly did not. Of course, he was relieved.
Yeah.
He's medical relieved, and did a chest X-ray, and he was in stage 3 lung cancer. It was metastasizing.
Hmm.
He died about a year later.
Well,
Karma police. Karma
karma
police.
karma truly is a bitch.
Yeah, that wasn't the karma police. That was the karma army.
Yeah. That was Radiohead's second song. There was a follow-up to Karma Police. It was called the
Yes.
Karma Army.
Yep. That was you know, and you know what? When he died, still nobody cared. Everybody just said, "Good, thank
I'm
God,
not surprised.
thank God he's dead." That there are, let me tell you, not not everybody. There are some real pricks in the service.
Yeah.
There just are, and not all of the hashtag not all, but some of the officers are just assholes. They just are, and for whatever reason, they just get full of themselves. And this
The
guy was,
power that
well, he was a sadist. He truly was a sadist. He and I did not get along. It was a good thing we were not. It's a good thing we were not boss and subordinate much longer than we were, because I would have gone passive aggressive on him.
mm,
We would have not had a good time. I was very happy to get away from that guy. Very, very happy.
I
More
don't blame
happy.
you. He sounds like a piece of work.
He's a prick. He's a prick. And I'll tell you, I'm just well, anyway, that happens. This stuff happens, and life goes on. But yeah, it's an interesting story. It's one of the most interesting stories of my. It didn't really happen to me, but it happened to a guy who I had the misfortune to know, and it's an interesting thing.
You don't get along with sadists, says Random American.
Yeah. I don't play well with sadists.
That's
I
true.
don't play well with sadists. I don't play well with people who uh, torture my division. Guys who trusted me to, you know, Anyway, so there you go. Anyway, what is chat saying?
They were just they were saying poetic justice for that guy. Let's see.
I was reading what Pincal was saying. It says, show the woman that was the employer of the Filipino. She's a fucking treat. You want to talk Karens? This is Karen sucking supercharged.
Fucking supercharged.
Fucking supercharged. Okay, I don't really understand that, but Karen, you want to
You know,
talk Karens?
the typical, you know, your typical Karen, like your
Oh,
bitchy.
Karen, I
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay, I
she's
gotcha.
the woman who was employing that Filipino girl that I told you about.
Gotcha.
She was
Okay.
terrible.
It
Um,
says Blind Press's little sister would get first places in the tournaments for Kung Fu. This woman would then attack the refs, the officials, everybody verbally.
yep,
Oh man, that's wonderful, isn't it?
yep. It was. They held her back 2 years in her orange belt when she was an orange belt
Uh-huh.
because this woman's daughter wasn't ready to progress, and they didn't want my sister to progress before she did.
Wait, what? Explain that situation to me.
So they were all in like the same year, like in the same.
Kung Fu thing, or
They were all, like her and this woman's daughter were all in the same belt level,
okay,
but my sister was progressing much faster and ready to grade for her next color
okay,
long before this woman's kid.
okay.
But this woman had at the time been very buddy buddy with the owners of the club, and I guess had figured
Oh,
out a way to keep my sister from grading
gotcha.
until her daughter was ready to grade. And my sister was stuck in orange belt for 2 years, despite going to class all the time, like 3 times a week, competing in almost every tournament that was offered, uh, coming and helping with other things at the club when it wasn't her time for class, like doing everything you know, above and beyond. Yeah, it was. Thankfully, this woman and her family are not part of the club anymore because
Wow,
people started calling them on their crap.
bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they left in a huff.
Holy shit.
But yeah, she was
Okay,
a
and
real piece of work.
so it was your sister who would get first places in the tournaments for Kung Fu. And then this woman would attack the refs, the
Yeah,
officials,
she
everybody
would.
verbally. I got it now.
Yeah, she would get all pissed off, and or you know, her daughter would cry, and she would, oh, she's just tired, or oh, but everyone knew she was crying because she didn't win.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it was bad.
So, all right.
Competitive people who don't want to people who want their daughters to win even though they didn't deserve it.
Right. Well, because reasons.
And speaking of people who didn't deserve things, Pinkala sent me a story. Lori Loughlin's influencer daughter wants back into USC.
What?
Yes.
What? That's got a lot of gall, huh?
Yeah. So
That's like a set of cast iron balls on it, doesn't it?
oh, for sure.
Oh my God. So, yeah, okay.
So
I know we did it dishonestly, but I still want back in.
yeah,
Jesus.
so uh Lori Loughlin's daughter is reportedly desperate to return to the University of California, even though she's didn't want to attend in the first place. One-time influencer Olivia J. Gianoli, or however you pronounce it, in one of the most prominent faces of the college bribery scandal, has rattled U.S. universities. The roster of people who allegedly paid bribes or a king's ransom to get their wait worth a king's ransom to get their spawn into America's most prestigious universities includes Full House star Lachlan, Desperate Housewives star Felicity Huffman, and a slew of a slew of executives. So let's see. Among the hardest hit was Olivia J. Gianelli, who became a punchline and lost a number of sponsorships on her Instagram page. Well, see, this is what happens, parents, when you do shit like this for your children.
No kidding.
You ruin their lives. Olivia Jade wants to go back to USC.
Why?
So she
Just
didn't get
studying?
officially, it says she didn't get officially kicked out, and she is begging the school to let her back in. But that may be a tall order. Her mother and father are accused of shelling out a whopping $500,000 in bribes to get Olivia Jade and her sister into USC's rolling pre-recruits. For Olivia Jade, life was a it's her. That's her Instagram. Lachlan potentially faces decades in prison if convicted. Olivia Jade, knows they won't let her in, so she's hoping this info gets out. Another source told us. There's the source familiar with the matter.
Yeah.
They're getting around everywhere. She wants to come out looking like she's changed, learned life lessons, and is growing as a person. So she wants people to think that or to become interested in her education. Well, see, but did she know that her mom was doing this though? That's the question. Did Olivia know that her mom was bribing people to
How
get?
stupid is Olivia? How stupid is she?
Yeah, that's true.
When I was, now, when I was applying for college, I knew what colleges I could reasonably expect to get into.
Yeah.
And, I was a little bit of an unusual candidate. My grades were kind of mediocre, A minus, B plus kind of grades, not kind of sort of indifferent, but okay. But I had very high board scores,
Mm-hmm.
and that so I got some good schools to at least take a look at me, and I'd done some stuff in not just regional science fairs, but the international science fair,
Right.
and I had actually won awards 2 years in a row in the international science fair, and that kind of stuff was what counted back in the day to get you looked at by a good school. If you had nothing, I didn't have rich parents or anything like that, and I wasn't interested in going to a service academy. I might have actually gotten an appointment to a service academy if I'd had that interest, but I didn't have that interest. I didn't really have the grades for it. They like high grades and lower board scores, believe it or not, than what I had. They don't like the lazy
Mm-hmm.
the lazy smart guy. They like the industrious you know eager beaver, and I was the opposite of that. I was the diffident intellectual, but I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
When I was applying for school, I knew what my chances were. I knew how the game was rigged, and if Olivia has half a brain in her head, and that's probably open to question, but if she has anything going on upstairs, she probably should know that this is fraud.
Yeah.
Uh, she's not really going to study. Didn't she actually admit something to that effect, that she wasn't really into she didn't want to go to class or anything like that. She was just there for the social part. Didn't she say something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
And that to me instantly eliminates you as a student.
Yeah.
I mean, practically gets you a persona non grata ban.
Yeah.
If we see you on campus, we're going to get the police and chase you off. Don't want you anywhere around here. Go to hell. That's
Yeah,
obscene.
I'm. Now that you put it that way, I think you're right. And this article continues to say, in the interim, that life isn't that touch for the celebrity offspring from Central Casting. The 19-year-old party girl has been spotted hanging out in Hollywood clubs until wee hours of the morning. Why are you in clubs at 19 anyway?
Right. Why aren't you in the
Um,
library? Why aren't you studying? Why aren't you preparing for 4 years in the academy?
yeah,
Because you don't care.
no, you don't.
And because once you're in there, you're just going to hang out at the sorority house and be a bitch, basically. I mean, let's talk about it. Uh, that's where this girl is headed.
Well,
I think.
my ex stepmother told me when I
Yeah,
was growing up
your ex
that
stepmother. I got to
my
think about that for a minute. Okay, all
my
right,
dad's ex-wife.
gotcha. Yeah, I had to
Thank
think. I just had to
thank
think about
Christ.
it. Praise God.
We all told him when he divorced her. We were like, about time, dude. Fuck. um, we all told you, dude. We all told you she was crazy. That's what we all said.
Yeah,
Um, but she told me, she's like, you should just go to university to make friends. It doesn't really matter if you get a degree or anything like that, or, if your grades are good. You should just go to make friends.
oh, you sound stable.
Now, her parents paid for her education.
Yeah,
My parents were not going to be paying for my education.
right.
So she was suggesting that I go and take student loans out
Sure,
to, just go and make friends,
sure,
as one does. You go into debt just to make friends, because that makes perfect sense.
sure. Of course it does. That's like that's like out of the script of Airplane. That just doesn't make what the world's upside down. People going to college and I'm not into the studying part, really. But we've kind of been doing that with athletes for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
And we let the athletes get away with it. So do we really have anybody to blame but ourselves for this?
No?
I mean, we've kind of done this to ourselves.
Nothing for you here says going to university to make friends is like going to Facebook to find an education.
Like nothing. Stimulate nothing stimulates a thought process in me that almost nobody else gets going. It's hard to explain it, but it's something nearly spiritual that uh, 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 happens when we have some back and forth on Twitter. I truly one of the people I truly enjoy on Twitter. Love to see his content.
Oh, apparently Olivia and her sister are furious with their parents and barely speaking to them in the wake of this scandal, apparently.
Barely speaking to them. That's got to be a gift from heaven, don't you think? I mean, I'm just saying.
It says in March, federal authorities arrested Lachlan and her husband, Massimo Gianelli, I think he's 56, something like that. USC said that the academic status of the students whose parents were allegedly involved in the college admission scandal were on hold and under review, as they should be.
Yeah.
And then it finishes with Huffman has already appealed to a plea deal, but Lachlan is determined to slug it out, even if it means a long prison sentence, because
I
she's a moron.
I hope it does. I hope she goes to jail for 100,000 years, and this just goes down as an object lesson in. First of all, when the nice prosecutor lady offers you a plea deal, take it.
Yep.
Don't be an idiot. Okay. And secondly, don't screw around with this stuff.
No.
The rules are there for a reason.
And you're not doing your kids any favors.
Exactly. Yeah, God, that just brutally hurt children. Children were hurt here, and that is unforgivable. I'm sorry, it just is. That's just you know.
Like, first of all, you make it so you teach them that they don't have to work hard.
Yeah,
But on top of that, you set them up to be alienated because anything that they possibly do that is a success on their own, nobody's going to believe that they did it on their own.
that's true.
They're going to spend the rest of their life living down the fact that their mom tried to buy their way into college.
That's exactly right.
Like,
Anything they do is going to get looked askance at.
yeah.
That that meant that parents have done them no favors at all. That's just tragic. That's tragic. Oh well.
Ridiculous people.
Yeah. We can't fix them all though, blind.
Can't fix stupid.
You can't fix stupid. And there's plenty of it. I really am beginning to believe that Frank Zappa was right about it being a more abundant natural resource than hydrogen. I would have
Yeah.
liked to have been there when he told Stephen Hawking, no, 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 the most abundant element in the universe is not hydrogen. It's human stupidity. I just would have loved to have been there just to sample the feeling in that room when he said that.
That would
I
have that's an amazing quote, actually.
I understand Hawking thought it was one of the funniest things anyone ever said to him.
Yeah.
And Hawking had a great sense of humor.
Oh,
So,
he sure did.
that was
The fact that Hawking was willing to show up on The Simpsons
yeah, exactly.
and Family Guy
Yes, exactly, exactly.
and Star Trek.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was, uh, you know, that guy lived more. Compare his life to the life of one of these sullen keyboard punching internet tough guys in their mother's basements. These snowflakes that, Antifa types. They don't live life.
Did you see all the disabled people reeing about people saying when he died that
Oh yes,
it's
yes, yes, yes. I did.
he's
Yeah,
not suffering anymore, and
right.
how dare you suggest that we're suffering because we're disabled? Rah, rah, rah.
We're
Dude,
differently abled. We love being, yeah, right.
like, dude, he had ALS. That's
Yeah.
not a fucking walk in the park.
Yes, it is. It's better than not having it. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah. And have you ever been around deaf folks?
Deaf folks or dead folks?
Well, either one, but I really meant deaf folks.
Yes, I have. It's actually, for me, it's really awkward to be around deaf people, especially
yeah.
ones that don't lip read.
Yeah, exactly.
because
They're
there's
trying
like
to sign at you.
there's like a complete lack of communication that's possible. Like
Kind of have to hold hands
I,
and make letters in each other's hands.
I have a friend who has he actually went to a school for the deaf and blind.
Yeah.
He's not either though, but he learned how to sign, and he has a lot of deaf friends that come by. So when I'm visiting him, he often has like his friend, his one or more of his deaf friends will pop over. So he's like talking to them, then he'll introduce me, and then he'll, I'll say hi, and then they'll say something in sign language, and he'll have to tell me what they said.
Yes,
It's like a
exactly.
big game of telephone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there within the deaf community, there is a substantial subset of them who I refer to them, and this is just my terminology, the militant deaf.
Yes.
And these are people who think it's better to be deaf than hearing.
Yep.
And they would rather be deaf. And if you have cochlear implants or you have a hearing aid or you have anything that helps you hear, you are anathema to them. You are
Yep.
evil. You are a
You're a
turncoat.
traitor.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Yep, you're a traitor to the cause.
There are some deaf people who are so militant that if they have children who can hear,
Yes,
they treat them quite badly.
treat them badly, and there's even some very strange and evil research going on in countries that are not in the West of finding ways to make your child deaf
Mm,
surgically.
mm.
And so, which to me is just evil on
I don't
a
understand.
cosmic scale.
Like, I don't understand that. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
I
evil on
could
a cosmic scale.
never want Alex and Logan to be blind
Right. Or deaf.
or
Or,
deaf or anything.
yeah, or anything. Exactly. And so, but if you go to, there's a college, what's its name? Gallaudet College
Hmm.
in, I think it's around Washington, D.C. Is that about right? Autists in chat, help me out. Where's Gallaudet College? Gallaudet College. I think it's in Galludet. Gallaudet University is in Washington D.C.
Okay.
It's federally chartered private university for education of the deaf and hard of hearing. It's located in Washington D.C. on 99-acre campus and founded in 1864. So it was originally a grammar school for the deaf and blind children. Interesting. Anyway, the it the people who go to that university are aggressively deaf.
Mm.
Okay, and they at one point they were going to have one of the deans of one of the schools was somebody who had partial hearing. He was partially deaf. He's signed like beautiful sign language.
Hmm.
Completely excellent at that. But because he had partial hearing, they went batshit crazy. They were going to burn the school down
Mm.
if this guy was proposed as dean, and so he didn't get in. Somebody else who was completely deaf was proposed as dean, and another guy they had on 60 Minutes, and I remember Morley Safer interviewed him, and he was saying anyone who is 100% deaf can perform absolutely anything that a hearing person can.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That was, name something. Pilot a plane. A deaf person can pilot a plane. Well, yeah, and the thing is, you can do things so that a deaf person could pilot a plane, but they won't do it as well. They won't be able to react to radio calls. Well, you have someone interpret the radio calls and sign them,
But that's not what.
but they could do it. They can do it just as well.
But no, you can't do it just as well because you
Yes, you
require
can.
an
Yes, you can.
interpreter.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
You
It's just
can't
shout over the guy, right?
you can't you require an interpreter. You can't just look at your HUD. What the like.
And his point was that deaf people can do anything.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to say deaf people can't do anything because deaf people can do anything. So deaf people can do anything. Blind people can do anything a sighted person can do. Anything. Okay.
Those people make me laugh.
They can drive cars. They can do whatever.
Operate wrecking balls.
Yeah, exactly.
Heavy construction equipment.
Surgeons. Whatever.
Neurosurgery.
Certainly, of course, in their sleep.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And quadruple amputees, quadriplegics can do anything that an Olympic athlete can do. Okay.
In the exact same way, too.
Everyone is an exact Olympic athlete. Everyone holds the world record in everything. Sorry, I just get a little crazy with this, nonsense that people play with the English language, making shit up.
Chat is going crazy. Calvic AD says, a game of Marco Polo. Green Badger Outdoor says, listen to music.
Music critic. Yeah, that's the kind of the ultimate for the deaf people.
Aggressively deaf or militantly deaf would be great metal albums.
Yeah, actually, it's Sora Luna. That's great. Hi, Sora Luna. Nice to see you. Yeah,
a game of Marco Polo.
Marco. Then there's no answer. Marco.
Could you imagine a blind person and a deaf person trying to play Marco Polo together?
That would not be good. That would be good.
We are truly cruel.
Yeah, we are. The fun thing is that we can actually have a bit of fun with this and not be self-conscious about who we are, what we can and cannot do. Everybody, is differently abled when it comes down to it. And it comes back to that thing, the guy who was mayor of that town who got it, lost his legs first, lost his arms, and now he's just down to being mayor because that's all he can do. And the number of things goes down from hundreds of millions to a million to a few 100,000. And how can you do all those hundreds of thousands of things before you die? You still have plenty of things you can do.
Oh, for sure.
And so it's a function of how do you want to spend your time? How do you want to feel every day about your existence, regardless of what has been handed you by life?
Yeah.
I wish I were taller. I wish I were a left-handed relief pitcher for the Cubs. I wish a lot of things, but didn't work out that way. Yeah, I don't have an enormous amount of athletic talent. I don't have the right kind of body to succeed at the kind of sports that fascinated me when I was young. I tried. I gave it a shot, and I had fun playing them at the levels that I could play them. But that's all I could do.
Right.
And I wanted to serve in the military really badly. I almost couldn't do that because of my color blindness.
Okay.
And I have a partial color blindness. That's what saved me, was the fact that I'm not. If I had been completely colorblind, they would have bounced me at my physical.
Okay.
I have something called blue-green deficiency, and they will take you as a staff officer for certain staff positions, and they happen to have a need for supply corps officers at the time that I was applying. The interesting thing was, though, if had I not made it through. Had I not succeeded at OCS, I simply would have been bounced out of
Right.
the Navy. I would have been, adios mofo. And it so there was a certain amount of pressure for me to make it through the program, because I did not have a I didn't there were the Navy had no plan B for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was succeed at this or we've got nothing for you.
Yeah.
And uh, but it's in point of fact, life right now is friendly enough. If you look at what humans have succeeded at in times past, given how unfriendly life was and how against people the odds were for success,
Oh, yeah.
you should be able to succeed at something now. And these guys who sit around in their basement and they say, I'm depressed, I can't succeed at anything. I'm so bored. They always have plenty of energy to go out and play games, right?
Yep.
I'm up for games. Yeah, let's play some games. But when it comes to getting a job, or it comes to, doing something for somebody else, somebody who's not them, they they've never learned the joys of that comes from doing something for somebody who's not you.
Agreed.
And uh, that's something that really does seem to be missing from current year, that I think we had more of in times past. We've got a lot more of good things now that we didn't have. Uh, but one of the things I think we're missing is a little bit of that. It's not altruism. It's not so much giving, but it's doing things unself-consciously,
Yeah.
doing things without the immediate gain for yourself, kind of thing. I think it makes people very unsatisfied with their lot. They don't understand why they're depressed so much of the time, and the only solace that they find is playing a game. And I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of these fantasy games are so popular. That's a place they can lose themselves. It's a place where they have lots of power and things go their way. They can control things. They can make things happen. And in their real life, that doesn't happen for them much.
Well, and we've also, because of that stuff, we've lost the concept of delayed gratification, I think.
Oh, amen, sister. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's on in many, many ways. Uh, I think the hookup culture, for one thing,
Mm.
is one thing. The one of the fun things that I got to have, that I did get to have when I was, in my youth, when I was in as a teenager in my 20s, was dating.
Yeah.
And the mystery of the other person, and getting to discover that person a little bit at a time.
Find out who they are
Right, exactly.
by step.
Yeah, instead of the frantic leap into the horizontal position
Yeah.
that seems to characterize a lot of, and these days, the women want to prove how liberated they are and how cool they are about sex.
Yeah.
Sex doesn't mean anything to me. It's just a rolling Z. And then they get dissatisfied and don't understand when their emotions get brutalized. I don't know. The joys of dating have been lost. I think to a great extent, with the sexualization of the hookup culture. I think that's a shame. I think if they step back a little bit and got to know each other a little bit, better before they got all kissy face.
I would agree.
They'd enjoy it a lot more.
I think there's a balance to be had. I think that
Yes.
you shouldn't
I'm not a
go.
prude. I'm not
Yeah,
a Puritan.
I
I'm not a prude.
I don't think sex until marriage, or no sex until marriage,
That's dumb
is
too.
dumb.
That's dumb too.
But I don't think that let's hook up and have sex right away is also. I think that's also
Yeah, it's not a carnival ride.
no.
It's not pay your ticket. Let's go out to dinner and have sex later. It's it, you know it's uh, it's really worth getting. And the other thing is, people are worth getting to know, or at least some people are worth getting to know, and
Yeah.
getting to like them and respect them, and that makes the other stuff better too.
Mm-hmm.
Just one man's opinion. I don't know how I got all heavy about that, but anyway, yeah, there's uh, a lot of stuff we should be able to succeed at. I mean,
Delayed gratification, says Random American. Who has time for that?
nice, well said, very well said. Yeah, Irate says exhibit pack behavior.
And then Nothing For You Here says there's a kind of rampant narcissism among millennials, especially. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Hellfire Joe. You're not wrong, bud.
So you said you had some stories.
I do, actually. I was going to go in here. Here's a strange one, and it has to do with Canada. I think this is Canada. Let me make sure. Wait, no. Oh, this is under U.S. and Canada, but this is actually United States in Washington, D.C. In Virginia suburbs of Washington. Virginia Uber driver was Somali war criminal.
Oh.
So be careful of that Uber driver because he might be a Somali war criminal. Let's read.
Oh, God.
A U.S. jury has found that a former Uber driver living in Virginia committed acts of torture during Somalia's civil war in the late 1980s. Somali citizen Farhan Tani Warfa testified last week in the Washington, D.C. suburbs that ex-Somali Colonel Yusuf Abdi Ali shot and tortured him. Ali was commander in the National Army and supporter of dictator Mohammed Siad Barre, say court documents. Until this month, Ali drove for Uber with a high 4.89 rating. On Tuesday, a jury at a federal court in Alexandria, Virginia, found that Ali was responsible for the torture of Mr. Warfa 3 decades ago, awarding Mr. Warfa $500,000 in damages. Mr. Warfa, who first filed the case against Ali in 2004, told the BBC he was very happy with the verdict. I'm very satisfied with the outcome. Mr. Warfa said he was kidnapped from his home in northern Somalia by a group of Ali soldiers in 1987. Over the next several months, Mr. Warfa said he was interrogated, tortured, beaten, and shot at the direction of Ali, who was a battalion commander. Left for dead, Mr. Warfa said he only managed to survive by bribing his grave diggers to spare him. Ali was first identified in 1992 documentary by the CBC, by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, which detailed allegations that Ali had tortured, killed, maimed hundreds of people while working for the Barre regime. At the time of the broadcast, Ali was living in Toronto working as a security guard. So he's worked as a security guard in Toronto, too. How lovely.
Wow.
In the documentary, multiple eyewitnesses in northern Somalia described brutal murders ordered by Ali, then known as Colonel Tukay, meaning the Crow. Shortly after it aired, Ali was deported from Canada for serious human rights abuses. Court documents say the U.S. also began deportation proceedings against Ali, but he returned to the country in 1996. It is unclear how he was able to re-enter the United States. The Department of Homeland Security did not immediately respond to a request for comment because they could not pull their head out of their asses. I added that last part.
Wow, wow, wow. Way to
Yeah.
go.
In May, CNN reporters went undercover to take an Uber ride with Mr. Ali. He told CNN that he drives for rideshares, Uber, and Lyft full time, preferring weekend shifts because that's where the money is. Asked
Mm.
if the application process for drivers was difficult, Ali replied that it was simple. They just want your background check. That's it. Ali drove for Uber for about 18 months after passing a, a rigorous screening process for the rideshare company. The background check, including a review of Ali's criminal history using state and national records and a scan of government watch lists for the FBI and Interpol. He
Hmm.
has now been permanently removed from the app, an Uber spokesperson told the BBC. Lyft spokeswoman Campbell Matthews said the company was horrified by the allegations against Ali. She said, but when you think about it, it's really sort of cool. No, she didn't say that. She was horrified. We have permanently banned this driver from our community and stand ready to assist law enforcement with any investigation, Ms. Matthews said. Background checks for both Uber and Lyft are conducted by Checker, a consumer reporting agency, which just scans lists, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then it goes on and on and
A
on.
consumer reporting, that would be like your credit history,
Oh,
wouldn't it?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so it's just, so that's kind of there was that story. And I had one other story. This is more of a weird one. This is Trump demanding an investigation. Trump gets investigated a lot, but Trump is demanding an investigation uh, as far as the Clintons.
Hmm.
This is News and Brief. Trump demands investigation into whether the Clintons gave him non-registry wedding gift in 2005,
Oh, come on.
explaining that such a miscarriage of justice would not be tolerated under his watch. President Donald Trump reportedly demanded a federal investigation Monday into whether Bill and Hillary Clinton gave him a non-registry wedding in 2005. Given
Oh,
the fact that Melania and I have no recollection of ever asking for a cast iron Dutch oven, I am calling on the Justice Department to launch a full scale investigation into whether or not the Clintons blatantly ignored our wedding registry, said the commander in chief at a campaign rally, holding up the cooking pot while revealing that he had already directed several DOJ agents to go through all the gifts they received to determine if the former first family completely skipped over the requested luggage set, blender, and comforter in favor of getting their unregistered present.
good Lord.
No one's talking about it since they have the biased media in their pocket, but these people are totally corrupt and should spend the rest of their lives in prison for getting us this hideous Dutch oven, which clashes with all our other cookware. At press time, Trump speculated these sickos probably brought the Dutch oven at with Clinton Foundation blood money as the crowd burst into a lock them up chant.
Please tell me you made that up.
All right, I made that up, but it could be true. It could have happened.
Was that an Onion article?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank God.
Just a bit of fun.
I was getting worried there
laugh
for a
every
second.
once in a while.
I was getting worried there for a second.
We have so much grim stuff. I have to have something just absolutely silly once in a while to kind of leaven the mood.
No, all you need, it was an Onion article.
Everybody calm down. Calm down. It's okay. It's okay. Everyone relax. Everyone relax. Onion, 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 onion. Just
Can
having a bit of fun.
can you talk to chat while I go blood wing?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Now, one of the things about the Onion when that first came out, I loved their whole attitude because they were kind of equal opportunity abusers at first, in spite of the fact that the staff was almost completely monotonically liberal. They were a group of people who just you could see that their hearts were made glad to make fun of the news and the people who make the news. And I enjoyed that. Now you kind of have to pick through so many of their articles because a lot of them have a tone of real meanness, that meanness that comes from uh, the current liberal tone of anger uh, toward conservatives. These are people who don't believe that Republicans and conservatives and libertarians even have the right to continue to breathe air, and that tone creeps into their humor. Unfortunately, this is the same thing that's wrong with the humor of like the quote unquote humorous like Amy Schumer. Where it's not humor; it's just anger. It's saying something ugly about conservatives and then laughing at somebody. It's the Joy Behar approach to humor, where
Yeah.
say Trump sucks, ha, you know, uh, about as much
What do
as
you
Trump
mean by
cares
that?
about pork people.
Wait, you say Trump sucks, and then they go, "What do you mean by that?" Oh, it was just a joke. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
no.
Yeah, but it's not. So at any rate. But if you do search around, you can find some good stuff on the Onion, and that was one. That's all I was doing there. I was just kind of going through the my
you
my my humor selection process.
you want to hear an article that's funny that's not from the Onion?
Sure, go for it.
French town offers free Viagra to boost birth rate.
There's so many things. There's so many puns I could make with that. Boost the. Never mind. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
So, so
Thing's gonna look like a hockey stick.
oh,
That grass gonna. Never mind. Go ahead. It's
come
a
on,
real uptick.
Safari. There we go. All right, let's get this on because this is funny. All right. So I think this is a CBC article here. Or no, this is from actually this was from Gunfox, I think. Anyway, a French mayor is offering free Viagra to couples in his town to boost the local birth rate. Jean de Jean Debussy or Debussy, the mayor of what? The mayor of Andorral in northern France issued a decree, a decree even,
Of course, it is a decree.
saying that he was favorable to the distribution of the little blue pills. He said he was taking action because the town's falling number of children meant that 2 local schools were threatened with closure. That's it. You're all not fucking enough. We need to keep these schools open.
My God. What?
Couples who already live in the village and others who moved there from elsewhere are eligible for the pills. The local reported. So I guess that's the newspaper they have. It's called The Local. The
All right.
mayor. Oh, it's Montero. Montero.
Montero.
Uh, so
Oh,
this
it's in
there's
Lorette. Okay. It's
so
just
yeah.
south of Paris.
Um,
I know where that is.
a village without children is a village that dies, the mayor said.
Yes.
A feeling so, um so it says a feeling of decline and in provincial towns uh, has helped fuel yellow vest fury. Oh, of course.
Okay.
Uh,
So
at
the pills will be handed out to couples between 18 and 40 in order to give them every possible chance to conceive and thus preserve the schools. in his and a neighboring village under his charge.
He's mayor of 2 villages?
Evidently.
How does that work?
We're Frenchies. That's the way we do it. No further explanation is required. He said that he was ready to hand out special one-off bonuses for any new babies born as an incentive. I don't even know what that means.
What does a one-off bonus mean?
Bonuses is in quotes. See, I don't know. Falling birth rates are putting pressure on the local schools, he says. One or two of 4 classes could shut. We want our children to stay in Montereau, the mayor told France 3, the local TV channel, saying that without more bebés, children would have to travel to neighboring areas for education. He said the Viagra decree came out of the blue, as it were, as a good way to get people to talk about the school. He confessed, however, that there had been no mad rush as yet by local men for stocks of the performance-enhancing pills. Indeed, not one had put in a request since the decree was issued last Thursday. It was unclear whether he could legally hand them out, as in France, Viagra can only be obtained with a doctor's prescription. The desertification of towns and villages has become a hot-button issue in provincial France, which has been racked by 6 months of Yellow Vest revolt. Many protesters complained about dwindling public services, including schools, that prompted President Emmanuel Macron to promise that none would be shut down during his mandate. Okay. French village mayors are prepared to go to great lengths to raise awareness about their problems. The mayor of Saint-Geneviève-des-Bois, also in the Loiret department, recently issued a decree making it illegal for residents to fall ill. Now, I'm going to read that sentence again because I want you to listen very carefully to this.
I thought you made that up.
I did too. I mean, I thought I'd gone insane there for a minute. The mayor of Saint-Geneviève-des-Bois, also in Loiret department, recently issued a decree making it illegal for residents to fall ill, period. The aim was to highlight the lack of medical care in the area.
Wait, so you made a decree just for the shits and giggles of demonstrating how shit the medical care is?
Yeah. So he issued a decree making it illegal for residents to fall. So you can be arrested if you get sick because the medical care is no good in the area. In another case that caused a stir, a mayor enrolled a flock of sheep into a local school to bump up numbers. They were even given their own pen.
What the fuck?
This is not an Onion article. I know I'm in the position of the little boy who cried wolf, but this is an honest to God article, guys. This is the Telegraph. This is a real newspaper.
My brain just broke.
Yeah, mine did too. In another case that caused a stir, a mayor enrolled a flock of sheep into a local school to bump up numbers. They were even given their own pen.
Why do I hear John Cleese reading this?
Right. Now, for an on-site message, we have a midget in a bikini.
Now for something completely different. A man with a tape recorder up his nose.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. Oh my God. What a bit of comedy gold we have stumbled into here. I'm impressed with France. France,
so am I.
I just, guys, you have you've gone above and beyond the Call of Duty with respect to stupidity. That's impressive. That's impressive by anybody's standard. To That's just insane.
Yeah,
Oh my
everybody
God.
gets everybody gets Viagra. Everybody gets to scream.
Oh my God. Oh my
Oh
God.
man.
Yeah, just to bump up the birth rate. It just shows that people aren't very intelligent. People are not good problem solvers on their own.
They're not.
It's sort of the it's kind of the case for socialism and for big government
Mm,
is that people can't solve problems very well on their own. Now, to me, that means that commercial solutions and the market will provide solutions for the most pressing problems. The rest of them can go hang, uh, as opposed to the government, which tries to provide a utopian solution and inevitably falls way, way short and tries for heaven, manages only hell. Uh, the I don't know. It but but when you hear about a guy whose his little piece of socialized medicine is so bad, the level of care is so bad that he says, "All right, I'm going to pass a decree saying that it is now illegal for anyone to fall ill because it's irresponsible for me to have people treated in the way that they're treated.
yeah.
And so, to protect myself, I'm going to make it illegal for you to be sick because that's how absurd things have gotten. It just shows you the futility of declaring a scarce resource to be free.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what you're doing with medical care. Medical care, it's like declaring the price of gold to be zero. You can do that, but it won't make the price of gold zero. And you can say that medical care is free, but it won't make medical care any more available. Okay, and unless you enslave doctors, I mean
Yeah.
literally enslave them and enslave nurses and force them to provide, and I mean literally keep them in prison and have people go to those prisons for treatment. You could call those prisons hospitals.
And then force them to and also force them to keep the same standard of care
Right,
going.
exactly. And hang a few for encouraging the rest, pour l'encourager les autres. Uh, then, yeah, you could, unless you're willing to do that, you won't have any change. And that's why when Obamacare came to Texas, the only policy that was available to me required me to go through $8,000 of my money before I saw the first dollar.
Oh my god.
And then I only got 60 cents on a dollar for, my major medical.
That's insane.
Yeah. And that resets every year. That reset every year, right? So $8,000, say maybe I had a terrible year and I actually made it to $8,000 by the time it was November. I'd have 2 months where I would get 60 cents on the dollar reimbursement for any medical care that I got then. And then I go back to have to hit an $8,000 deductible again. So, that was the only policy that was available to me because that was the only policy that was that anyone would offer
Right.
because the government wouldn't come in and say you must offer a healthcare policy in Texas, of a certain standard, or you can't offer a health policy at all. You know, that was the law in some states. It's not the law in Texas.
Right.
And so these guys came in and said, okay, from our standpoint, this is the only one that makes any sense to us. okay, is this, and our break even is $8,000. Even at this, it's marginal for us. It's not a moneymaker,
No.
and and nobody took the policy, and essentially, Texas was uh, a place where an awful lot of people basically broke the law with
Yeah.
Obamacare. Just essentially broke the law.
Well, they didn't really have a choice.
Yeah, what my and the other thing was, guess what I paid? Guess what I paid for that Obamacare?
What's that?
$1,500 a month.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that's just for me. So I'm paying $1,500 a month. I have to hit an $8,000 deductible on top of that. Okay, before I get my first 60 cents on the dollar reimbursement.
That's insane.
Yeah, and surprise, surprise, nobody signed up for it. Now you can't even get that policy under Obamacare in Texas.
Wow.
And essentially, all you have in Texas right now is Medicare and Medicaid,
Right.
which is basically all you ever had. I mean, essentially what Obamacare said was that you want medical care, get poor enough for Medicaid, and then we'll talk. Now,
Yeah.
what happened to me was a godsend in that I had a combination of, being somewhat impoverished from my divorce and having to take care of an adult child
Mm-hmm.
full time in the home and being a veteran. That added up. See, not every veteran gets care from the VA,
Yeah.
but I got enough points from that combination of being poor, having a kid to take care of full time, and not having any other income, being disabled and not getting any disability income from the state or government because I've never taken a dime of disability.
Right.
Uh, that combination meant I made it over the top to get VA benefits.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so that's why I have medical care at all, except that now I'm over 65 and so I'm eligible for Medicare.
See, and that's kind of what I like about our Canada system is that it's a hybrid.
Yes.
You get now what's happened in Ontario recently because the government's trying to save some money is that they have kicked off so if you're what the Liberal government put into place was anyone under 25 gets free health care. Period.
That's great.
Which is great, but it's
No,
expensive.
no waiting list for surgery.
Oh, no, no, no,
No
no, no,
expense.
no.
No
There is
nothing.
waiting lists for surgery,
Okay, but there's no expense
but um there's no expense, but that's expensive as all hell,
for
right?
whom?
For the taxpayer.
Right.
And the fact that our budget for Ontario alone is the debt is the size of a debt a small country would have.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to make cuts. So what the Ontario government, the Conservatives did just now, in the past month or so, was they said, okay, if you are under 25, but you are on private insurance, you do not get the benefit of the free government coverage. You can have one or the other, which makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But a whole bunch of people are freaking out, saying that, oh, he's taking the money out of, the parents who are like the parents' pocket because, these kids these are generally kids that are still with their parents, and no kid or no young adult's gonna have private insurance.
Mm.
and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, if they move out on their own and they don't have private insurance anymore, then they can go back on the Ontario Health Plan. Like, what's the big deal here?
What is the
I'm
big deal?
I'm trying to figure out what the point of reading about it is.
Yeah.
I
Why are
had
they
I had a
reading?
discussion with my mom about that the other day because my sister got kicked off.
Did she re?
She did.
Ugh.
Because my sister's a type 1 diabetic.
Yeah.
And
I can
so,
see. I can. I would re if I was a type 1 diabetic. I mean,
but
if
but my
somebody.
sister still lives with my mom.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
And
Okay.
my mom is a federal government employee. So
Okay.
her benefit plan is pretty goddamn good, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and your sister gets to be under that
And my
benefit
sister
plan.
gets to be under that benefit plan.
Is that better than the national plan?
Oh,
The national health care? Yeah.
the free one? Oh
Yeah.
god. Oh yeah.
So not everybody has the same health care plan in Canada?
No, because okay, so
I thought
federal
Canada was a worker's paradise.
so federal there is no federal health care
Yeah.
for Canada. It's all
Yeah.
divvied up by the provinces.
Mm.
And
By the way,
um
Ontario has $350 billion worth of debt.
yeah,
That's be like boy.
yeah,
That's healthy little bit of debt right there, my girl.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, liberal governments for the past 20 years.
Holy shit, dude.
Um,
It's a third of $1 trillion.
yeah. So we so the conservative government just said, listen, if you are under 25 and you are on private insurance, then you do not get OHIP,
Mm.
which I think is fair.
Okay.
You shouldn't get to double dip for health coverage.
That seems right, sort of, to me. I don't know these programs, so I'm just trusting your judgment,
Um,
which I'm willing to do.
if I like my and I said to my mom, because I said, well, do you have to pay first and then get reimbursed later? And she goes, no, no, my health insurance plan isn't like that. Everything is covered. And I'm like, okay, so what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, not everyone has a health insurance plan that's that good. And I'm like, okay, but there are health insurance plans available, right? And she's like, well, yeah, but not all of them have 100% coverage. And that's why it was good for people to be on OHIP and that health insurance. And I'm like, okay, but if we are in a lot of debt right now and we need to trim the fat, so to speak, isn't it better to have some coverage than no coverage?
Yeah.
And she kind of just spluttered and
But, but,
yeah, 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 yeah.
first world problems. First world problems. So, hmm,
Did you hear about um the US intercepting Russian bombers and fighter jets off the coast of Alaska?
yes, I did. I did hear something about that. All right. That's been going on for a while.
Yeah, that's I'm wondering if it was like like a training exercise or if it was a
That they're just pushing each other's buttons. That's actually been going on for a very long time. And when I say very long time, I mean since the 1950s, 50s. Okay.
yeah.
So that you know, uh they'll do mock dog fighting. They do that up there sometimes where, that a uh uh, a U.S. fighter aircraft be flying along, out in international airspace, and a Soviet aircraft will come in right behind it on the six, like
Yeah.
that's the shoot down position, and they'll just be all over the sky, and just almost like dogs playing with each other,
Right.
and they'll lock each other's radar, but that's all they do. They don't shoot at each other or anything like that. They're just screwing around. It got a little bit more serious with the
Yeah.
submarines.
Okay.
That's probably how the Scorpion was lost. The USS Scorpion, the
Right.
attack submarine that was lost, I guess, in the 60s. Was playing tag with Soviet attack subs in the, I think it was the Atlantic,
Mm.
and uh, it I think it basically hit another submarine and had a hull integrity problem at
Oh,
a pretty significant depth,
that's
and
that's not good.
it killed everybody aboard. I mean, it's a shitty way to die too.
Yeah.
Um, you just I can't even laugh about that.
No.
That's a crummy way to go. And it's something that the Soviets know what happened, and we know what happened, and no one is saying what will happen. It's not been declassified, and I don't know of anybody who I knew some guys who were pretty read in on stuff.
Mm.
I had a very high uh, security clearance due to an odd thing. There was a weird billet. I had to take a job as a cryptography officer,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, and so you're in possession of some materials that have a very high security classification. In fact, the name of the security classification is actually itself classified. I
Oh,
can't
wow.
I can't even speak its name today, and this was 1975.
Hmm.
So it's
You
still
dare
it's
not speak its name.
I dare not speak its name. I can barely remember it. It's one of those dopey project names,
Yeah.
but it's I knew some people who were pretty read in on stuff. I never even heard of anyone who was read in on Scorpion, and we knew it was out there. We knew it was around. We knew that Sublant, Sublant, had information on it, and that when he was relieved, uh, that the operational stuff passed with him,
Mm.
and he's long dead now.
Yeah.
The guy who was commander of Atlantic submarine fleet, but he would have been the last person to know. It's written down someplace. I guarantee you, there was a report of it, and somewhere someone knows what happened. And that is one of those burning things in my memory. I would really like to know what happened with the Scorpion. And please don't hit me up with the stuff about the torpedoes. That's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. Stop.
Well, this one says, this article here says the US F-22 stealth jets intercepted 4 Russian bombers and 2 Russian I'm guessing Su-35 or Su-30 fighter jets off the coast of Alaska Monday,
Hmm?
according to a statement from um according to a statement from North American Aerospace Defense Command, so NORAD. The Russian nuclear-capable long-range bombers flew into the air defense identification nets or zones, which extends nearly 200 miles off Alaska's western coast. The Russian
Wow.
bombers flights are seen by U.S. military officials as part of Moscow's effort to train its military for a potential crisis while simultaneously sending a message of strength to adversaries. This latest intercept comes amid tensions with Russia among a wide range of geopolitical issues, and a week after Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met Vladimir Putin at the town of Sochi, where he warned Russia about interfering in U.S. elections. Oh God. Taking a tougher public line than President Donald Trump on the issue.
You like that little editorial comment from CNN right there? Taking
Yeah.
a tougher line than President Donald Trump on the issue.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you. Really? Get back to the F-22s, please.
Yeah. US F-22 fighter jets and
An E3 airborne early warning and control system.
what is
And
that?
E3 is a slower. It's still a jet, but it is a subsonic jet. It's capable of flying about 580 miles per hour.
God damn.
And so it's much slower than an F-22. But
It's still pretty fast.
has a bunch of electronics. It has all kinds of jamming electronics on it, active countermeasures, and also has a lot of decryption and interception type of listening type of electronics on board, so it can both listen to and confound the enemy. It basically is, you know, it destroys the enemy's ability to communicate amongst itself. I mean, it literally
Okay.
can shut down even their radio communications.
Gotcha.
It's a nasty ass piece of work, and it's one of our just greatest pieces of work. Yeah, it's a complete frustration for the other side. It's relatively slow. Like I said, it's subsonic. It will
Yeah.
not go Mach 1. And but if it has 4 F-22s to defend it, it's not in any danger at all. The F-22s are faster than the missiles that can shoot it down. So that's not a problem. The Su-35s would be a problem, though. They're very fast. It's a very, very nice fighter. Very, very high speed, high capability fighter. And the Tupolev 95, that's their long range bomber, kind of has a lot of the capabilities of a B-52. Not quite the range, but it certainly could bomb Anchorage and could bomb the hell out of Canada.
Yeah, every time I hear about Russians flying off the coast of Alaska like that, I'm just like,
This is an interesting.
go away.
Here was the actual quote. It says 2 of the Russian bombers were intercepted by 2 F-22s, and a second group of bombers with Su-35 fighters was intercepted later by 2 additional F-22s, while the E-3 provided overall surveillance. NORAD said, adding that the Russian bombers and fighters remained in international airspace, and at no time did the aircraft enter United States or Canadian sovereign airspace. So all it was we saw them, they saw us, we waved, they waved, and that was it. The Russian Ministry of Defense confirmed the incident in a tweet Tuesday, saying the Tu-95 bombers made scheduled sorties over neutral waters over the Bering Sea, as well as along the western coast of Alaska and the northern coast of the Aleutians. At certain stages on the route, Russian aircraft were escorted by F-22 fighter jets of the United States Air Force. We appreciated that. The total flight time exceeded 12 hours, the ministry said. That's them saying that our bombers have a lot of range. U.S. officials say Russian bombers and jets have flown over the area several times a year for the last few years and have been similarly intercepted by U.S. or Canadian jets operating as part of NORAD. And then it goes into NORAD's top priority is blah, 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 blah. This is basically filler crap.
Yeah.
patrols by blah, 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 blah. He wrote that blah, blah, blah in January, blah, blah, blah. NORAD is tasked with blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's it. That's the story.
Well, I'm glad that it was just a training type of thing.
Yeah, in January it did say that U.S. E3, the one of the Hawkeyes, the electronic surveillance aircraft carrier, two F-22 fighter jets, and two Canadian CF-18s. Those are F-18s that Canada have been specially fitted out for Canada. Fighter jets similarly positively identified two Russians Tu-160 Blackjack strategic bombers entering Canadian air defense identification zones. I have to look up Blackjack bomber. What is the Blackjack is that the supersonic one? Blackjack bomber. Blackjack bomber. Yeah, that's a long range. Yeah, it's like the B1.
Okay.
It's their version of the B1. So that's a supersonic variable sweep wing heavy strategic bomber. Um, it's the largest, heaviest Mach 2 supersonic military aircraft ever built, and yeah, it's kind of like our old bomber. We only built two of them, the B-70s, the Valkyrie
Mm.
B-70s, which was a beautiful plane. I was so sorry that they canceled that. I, it just didn't have a mission, which was a shame, but it was a great, great plane. And, but anyway, yeah, that's a,
Blackjack
it
kind of looks like a B1, says Green Badger Outdoors.
it
Yeah,
it does.
that's
It looks like a B1. It is, interestingly enough, it's not a cruise missile platform. It is a smart bomb, but just drop them out of the bottom type of a uh, uh,
like a trapdoor kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Just gonna
exactly.
open it and
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not really something to it's not a missile platform. It's not a cruise missile platform or anything like that. It's kind of old school in a lot of ways. It's like if you took a B1 and quadrupled it in size, it's you've got this airplane. And but it's smoking fast, not very maneuverable, and uh, just carries a whole bunch of gasoline and a whole bunch of airplane and a whole bunch of bombs. Um, it's got about a 6,000 mile range, which is not much range for that type of bomber. 7,000 mile range.
wow.
So yeah, I mean it's just not much. Anyway, so that's that. So yeah, they intercepted a couple of those, and I guess they were just taking them out for a drive. Um,
A little spin.
yeah, they. I would.
A wee jaunt.
Yeah, I would say that they have more capable bombers than that. As far as platforms to do damage, I guess it depends on the mission, though. Anyway,
I've got one more little story.
well, let's hear it.
So this is about Rolls-Royce's new I guess they're outfitting their limos or something with some specialty champagne. If you're gonna be bourgeois, you might as well be
Yeah.
yeah. So this one says, I tell you what, there's no Jacob's Creek within 100 miles of this scrawny little package of Rolls Royce, but introducing the champagne chest from Rolls Royce, an official addition to their accessories collection. So yeah, they give you a champagne chest
If you buy one of their
buy one of their
overpriced cars.
overpriced cars. Yes.
Yes.
Rolls, so they have a picture of it. Let's see. Um, So beneath the serving tray is a configuration of 4 hand-blown crystal champagne flutes. Ooh. And the optional caviar arrangement includes two uh, two caviar caissons or caissons or whatever, a pair of mother of pearl and a pair of mother of pearl spoons. So caviar for 2, champagne flutes for 4. Um, I guess only 2 of your 4 guests get caviar, right?
Or you share the spoons.
Or you share the spoons, yeah.
I guess it depends how friendly you are. Okay.
This is available through Rolls-Royce dealerships with a starting price of £37,000
For the
or
champagne
60
chest?
no, the car package.
Oh, okay.
Or $68,000, and it would be the perfect complement to one's brand new Rolls-Royce for a Sunday picnic. Oh,
No, wait. What Rolls Royce is available?
it doesn't say. It just says available with Rolls-Royce's as part of Rolls-Royce's accessory packages.
Okay,
So
but
if you
what is 37,000 pounds? What
so
costs 37,000 pounds?
so the way that this article is written, it sounds like the accessory itself is an extra 37,000
It sure does, doesn't it?
pounds on top of the Rolls Royce cost.
Holy shit, dude.
So for an extra $70,000, you too can have a champagne because it's 38,000 pounds or 68,000 US. Um, So, for close to $70,000 on top of buying a Rolls Royce, you too can have a champagne chest.
Yes, okay. Rolls Royce begins selling its $47,000 champagne cooler. I'm looking up the story because I just have to see what the hell this even looks like. Okay, the champagne. Okay. Rolls Royce Motor Cars Limited began offering what could be the world's most expensive cooler. The champagne chest, which starts at 37,000 pounds, which is $47,100 before taxes, comes with a couple of coolers made from black anodized aluminum and carbon fiber, according to the luxury car maker Rolls Royce. And they will throw in 4 glasses and cotton napkins. There's also a configuration of the chest available to store some caviar. Should the chest be insufficient to hold your alfresco dining needs, there's the $46,000 picnic hamper Rolls Royce began offering in 2016. Really? Really? Fucking really?
Oh my god.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Um,
I'd
I'm
rather have the armored package for it, says Green Badger. I agree.
I know and I'm looking at it and it's not pretty. It looks utilitarian and nasty and unstable.
Empty that, you could maybe hide a body inside.
Jeez. Yeah, yeah. It's just it's an ugly little thing with the Rolls Royce logo all over it. So you can be sure you know that you have a Rolls Royce thingy. God, it's annoying. Yeah, there's nothing pretty about it. Uh, it it looks like it stows very interestingly and neatly. I'm happy for it. Uh, Good God, it's just really $47,000. So you can have this thing, this hideous thing, or you can have $47,000.
Yeah.
Crisp $20 bills. What's it going to be, Skep? Taking the 47 grand. Crisp $20 bills, please.
No
Thanks.
kidding.
Thanks awfully. Yeah. In Texas, the tax on that's going to be almost 10%. So, that's another, $4,700. That's basically $52,000 out the door. $52,000 out the
And
door.
that's not even the car.
Yeah, no, that's the picnic basket. That's the picnic basket, boo boo.
You could buy a car for that much money. Like a luxury car.
Yeah, a decent one. You could buy a Lexus.
Yeah.
You could buy one that you can get fixed someplace. In
Yes.
instead of, oh well, you need your Rolls Royce fixed. There's a place in New Jersey. Yeah, fuck. No, no, I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is that 2 hours of our life have gone by, and
Yes, it
once
has.
again, we have failed to fix the world blinds.
You know what? We got to rant about it, which makes me feel better.
I feel better too. I'm glad you feel better. I'm glad we both feel better. I think we had a good rant, and I hope we amused chat today.
So do I.
We certainly amused ourselves. I felt like we had a really pretty good time. Both of us I'm not speaking out of school here. We're both in a little bit of pain today.
No, yeah, I'm feeling a bit better, but my pain level's still pretty
Yeah, and I'm feeling a little bit stove up too. And this back is killing me. Kept me up a lot of the night. I'm kind of in that mode of I'm so tired. I'm sort of speeding right now. I'll probably take a
yeah.
nap this afternoon. But I would like to remind everybody that Minions is tonight, and that is at 11:30 Eastern Time on the Minions channel, 10:30 Central. Please join us. Blind Press, I'm hoping, will be there with me,
Absolutely.
and we'll have many of the usual friends on, and come and join us. We have fun. And tomorrow is
Tomorrow's
your short day.
Yep, tomorrow's the short early day, so 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central AM. I am going to be doing this again for an hour.
And then Friday,
And then
you
Friday, I've got
have.
Maddie from Mad Woman Media coming on. It'll be fun.
If you don't know Maddie, tune in. Seriously, you're
Yeah.
in for a treat because Maddie is a stitch. And you just, Hurricane Maddie, you're going to love it. Yeah, that's going to be some fun.
It will be fun.
And so,
And we'll be back on Saturday for Star Trek as well.
we're going to do Star Trek and the
The
episode,
Way of the Warrior.
the Where of the Warrior. So this is the introduction to Worf
Yep.
episodes on that. I watched them. I need to watch them again. But we will do that. And have we covered everything?
I think we have.
And then you have Blind and Special, of course, on
Yeah.
Sunday night.
Blind and Special, of course, back on Sunday. We were just so tired. We got home literally an hour before showtime.
I figured you would.
And then had to put the kids to bed.
Sure.
So yeah,
I think everybody understands.
We were dead last week.
I'll bet you were.
But yeah, we'll be back on Sunday with another stream. So
right.
I hope everyone enjoyed themselves today. Please have a great rest of your day. And stay safe out there, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you guys.